In the grand sweep of history, there are moments of such profound darkness, they threaten to extinguish the very concept of human decency. And in those moments, from the depths of despair, emerge individuals whose courage shines with an almost unbearable light. Their actions defy logic, defy self-preservation, and redefine the limits of sacrifice. This is the story of such a man. A soldier who, when faced with the deepest mystery of the Second World War, did the unthinkable. He chose to walk willingly into the heart of hell, to bear witness to its horrors, and to become the spy who volunteered for Auschwitz. The year is 1939. The crisp air of late summer hangs over a Poland poised on the brink of annihilation. For centuries, this nation has been a crossroads of empires, its history a turbulent saga of invasion, partition, and defiant rebirth. On the 1st of September, that cycle of violence begins anew. From the west, the German Wehrmacht storms across the border, unleashing a new and terrifying form of warfare. The Blitzkrieg, tanks, dive bombers, and infantry move with a speed and ferocity the world has never seen. The Polish army, valiant but outmatched, fights with the desperate courage of a people defending their homes. Among them is a cavalry officer, Witold Pilecki. He is not a professional soldier in the traditional sense. He is a man of the land, a poet, a painter, a devoted husband and father of 2 young children. His life is one of rootedness, tied to his family estate in eastern Poland, a world of quiet order and pastoral tradition. But when his nation calls, he does not hesitate. Commanding a cavalry platoon, he and his men fight fiercely against the German onslaught, destroying tanks and shooting down aircraft. Their bravery is immense, but it is not enough. On September 17th, the other shoe drops. From the east, the Soviet Union, Germany's secret partner in the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, invades. Poland is caught in a vice, crushed between 2 totalitarian behemoths. The government collapses, the army is shattered. By the end of the month, the campaign is over. A 5th partition of Poland is complete. A curtain of silence and terror descends upon the nation. For many, this was the end. But for men like Witold Pilecki, it was the beginning of a new kind of war. He refused to accept defeat. Making his way through the chaos to the occupied capital of Warsaw, he found a city shrouded in fear, but with a spirit that refused to be broken. In the cellars and back rooms of the city, the seeds of resistance were being sown. Poland was creating a phantom state, an underground civilization complete with its own government, courts, schools, and most importantly, an army. Pilecki, along with other former officers, co-founds one of the first resistance groups, the Tajna Armia Polska, or the secret Polish army. It is a dangerous clandestine existence. Every shadow could conceal an informant. Every knock on the door could be the Gestapo. The stakes are absolute. Capture means interrogation, torture, and execution. Yet they persevere. They gather intelligence, commit acts of sabotage, and publish underground newspapers to combat German propaganda and keep hope alive. They are fighting to remind the world and themselves that Poland still lives. By the middle of 1940, a new and disturbing rumor begins to circulate through the underground. The Germans have established a massive new concentration camp in the Polish town of Auschwitz, a place they have renamed Auschwitz. At first, its purpose is unclear. It is known to hold Polish political prisoners, intellectuals, priests, resistance fighters, but the whispers that filter out are of a brutality and a systematic cruelty that surpasses anything yet seen. Communication with prisoners is non-existent. It is a black hole, a place from which no information escapes. The leadership of the Polish underground realizes they are blind. To fight an enemy, you must understand them. To combat this new horror, they must know what it is. What is the true purpose of Auschwitz? What is the scale of the atrocities? What is the fate of the thousands of Poles being sent there? The questions hang in the air, heavy and unanswerable. A decision is made, one born of desperation and strategic necessity. Someone must get inside. Someone must infiltrate the camp, organize a resistance cell, and send intelligence back to the outside world. The call goes out for a volunteer. The room falls silent. It is a suicide mission. To volunteer for Auschwitz is to volunteer for a fate unknown, but one universally understood to be monstrous. It is in this silence that Witold Pilecki steps forward. His superiors are stunned. They try to talk him out of it. He is a skilled organizer, too valuable to risk on such a long shot. But Pilecki is adamant. He argues that he is not a well-known figure, his face not on any Gestapo lists. He can blend in. More than that, he feels a profound duty. He sees it as the only course of action. His proposal is deceptively simple, yet breathtaking in its audacity. He will not wait to be caught. He will orchestrate his own capture, he will assume a false identity and allow himself to be swept up in a Warsaw Street roundup, **Klapanka. These were brutal random acts of terror, where German soldiers would seal off a city block and herd every man, woman and child they could find into trucks destined for slave labor or the camps. Pilecki would place himself in the path of this terror machine. The preparation is surreal. He spends weeks living under a false name, Thomas Serafinsky, a man whose identity papers he carries. He bids a quiet, coded farewell to his family, unable to tell them the truth of his mission. He can only entrust them to God and the hope that he will one day return. Imagine the psychological weight of this. To wake up each morning knowing your goal for the day is to be captured by one of the most ruthless regimes in history and sent to a place from which no one returns. On September 19, 1940, Pilecki walks into a Warsaw apartment building, knowing it is in the middle of a German roundup. The shouts of soldiers, the screams of civilians, the bark of dogs fill the air. He is seized, beaten, and thrown onto a truck with hundreds of others. The first part of his impossible plan has succeeded. He is on his way to Auschwitz. The journey is a descent into a new dimension of human suffering. Packed into cattle cars, the prisoners are deprived of food, water, and sanitation. The air grows thick with the stench of fear and human waste. The dehumanization has begun. For 2 days they travel, the destination a terrifying unknown. When the doors are finally thrown open, they are greeted by blinding floodlights, the snarling of dogs, and the guttural screams of SS guards. This is the arrival. This is the gateway to hell. Before them stands the infamous arch, bearing a cynical mocking promise. Arbeit macht frei, work sets you free. Here they are stripped of their possessions, their clothes, their hair, and their names. Pilecki becomes prisoner number 4859. He is no longer a man, a father, a soldier. He is a number, an object to be used and discarded. The initial shock is overwhelming. Pilecki in his later reports would describe it as being on another planet. The rules of the normal world do not apply here. Life is cheap and death is everywhere. The days begin before dawn with the **, or roll call. For hours the prisoners stand in thin striped uniforms, regardless of the searing heat or freezing cold. The slightest movement can earn a fatal beating from a guard or a capo. A prisoner chosen by the SS to police their fellow inmates, often with a sadism that surpassed even that of their masters. Work is the central torturous feature of camp life. It is not productive labor, it is extermination through work. Prisoners are forced to carry massive stones, dig ditches and build the camp's ever-expanding infrastructure, all on a diet designed for slow, agonizing starvation. The daily rations consist of watery soup made from rotting vegetables, a small piece of sawdust-filled bread, and a bitter ersatz coffee. Disease is rampant. Typhus, dysentery, and pneumonia sweep through the barracks, claiming lives with an indifferent efficiency. Pilecki witnesses death in 1,000 forms. He sees men beaten to death for a moment's rest. He sees them shot for sport. He sees them worked until their bodies simply give out. He sees the public hangings where the entire camp is forced to watch as a lesson. He describes the casual, almost bored cruelty of the SS, for whom the suffering of the prisoners is a form of daily entertainment. This is the environment in which he must not only survive, but fulfill his mission. While his body endures the backbreaking labor and starvation, his mind is relentlessly at work. He is an intelligence officer on his most critical assignment. He observes, he memorizes, he analyzes. He notes the camp's layout, the number of guards, their routines, and the hierarchy of the SS command. He begins to formulate a plan. His mission has 3 phases. First, to organize the prisoners into a cohesive underground network. Second, to sustain their morale and provide them with material support. And third, and most importantly, to gather intelligence and send it to Warsaw. He begins by seeking out men he can trust. Fellow army officers, members of pre-war patriotic organizations, men with an unbreakable moral core. In a place designed to foster suspicion and betrayal, to turn every man against his brother for a crust of bread, building a network of trust is an almost superhuman feat. He starts with a cell of 5 men. This becomes his core unit. The structure he creates is brilliant in its simplicity and security. Each member of the first 5 is instructed to recruit another 4 reliable men, forming a new 5. These new members know only the man who recruited them. They do not know Pilecki, nor do they know the members of other cells. If one cell is compromised, the rest of the network remains intact. This organization, which he names the Związek Organizacji Wojskowej, or ZOW, grows rapidly. Within months it permeates every corner of the camp. They have members working in the kitchens, the infirmaries, the warehouses, even in the Sonderkommando*. The tragic units of Jewish prisoners forced to work in the gas chambers and crematoria. The ZOW's activities are a testament to human ingenuity in the face of absolute oppression. They organize the smuggling of food and medicine into the camp, often stolen from SS stores at immense risk. They set up an information network, passing news from the outside world gleaned from new arrivals or sympathetic civilian workers, breaking the psychological isolation the SS tried to impose. They work to get their members assigned to better work details, away from the most brutal labor, to improve their chances of survival. They even carry out assassinations of the most vicious capos and SS informants, staging them to look like accidents or suicides. They are a secret army, fighting a silent war within the wire fences. But Pilecki's primary goal remains intelligence, and it is here that his work becomes a pivotal and heartbreaking part of history. From late 1940 he begins to compile reports. These are not vague rumors, they are detailed, systematic and chillingly precise. He documents the number of prisoners arriving, the number of deaths per day, the methods of execution. He provides names of SS officers and describes their specific crimes. Getting these reports to the outside world is an operation of incredible daring. The messages are written on thin paper, often in tiny script, and hidden in a variety of ways. They are passed to civilian workers who risk their lives to carry them. They are hidden in laundry baskets leaving the camp. They are smuggled out with the few prisoners who are released. One of the most successful couriers is a man named Alexander Kurilovich, who pilots a small boat that collects gravel from a riverbank near the camp. ZOW members working in the gravel pits would pass him the reports. The information flows from Auschwitz to a resistance contact in a nearby town, then through a chain of couriers all the way to the Home Army High Command in Warsaw. In 1941, Pilecki witnesses a horrifying evolution in the camp's function. He reports on the first experiments with Zyklon B gas, tested on Soviet prisoners of war. He describes the construction of a small provisional gas chamber in the basement of Block 11, the infamous death block. He is providing the world with the first eyewitness account of the birth of the Holocaust's industrial killing machine. By 1942, his reports become even more desperate. The camp has expanded. A vast new complex, Auschwitz II-Birkenau, has been built a few kilometers away. Here, the killing is scaled up to an industrial level. 4 massive gas chambers and crematoria are constructed designed to murder and dispose of thousands of people every day. Pilecki's reports now detail the arrival of transports of Jews from all over occupied Europe. He describes the process of selection on the ramp, where SS doctors with a flick of a finger decide who will be sent to labor and who will be sent directly to their deaths. He reports the numbers, unfathomable, unbelievable numbers. He is chronicling genocide in real time. His dispatches, smuggled out at unimaginable risk, reach Warsaw. They are then transmitted by clandestine radio to the Polish government in exile in London. The information is clear, detailed, and verified by a trusted officer. Witold Pilecki is screaming a warning to the world. He is telling them that a factory for the production of human ashes is operating in the heart of Europe. The reaction from the Allied powers is one of skepticism, confusion, and ultimately inaction. The information is so monstrous, the scale of the killing so far beyond any known precedent, that it is difficult for officials in London and Washington to comprehend. They question the numbers. They suspect Polish exaggeration, propaganda designed to draw the Allies deeper into their specific plight. While they acknowledged that severe persecution was taking place, the full systematic nature of the final solution as described by Pilecki seemed to a world at war simply unbelievable. From inside the camp, Pilecki is growing desperate. His intelligence is being gathered, but it is not being acted upon. He begins to plead with the Home Army for direct intervention. His reports now contain proposals for military action. He asks for an Allied bombing raid to destroy the gas chambers and crematoria. He argues that even if prisoners are killed in the attack, it would be a better death than the one awaiting them, and it would disrupt the killing process. He requests an airdrop of weapons and explosives so that his ZOW network, now numbering over 1,000 members, can stage a mass uprising. He proposes a coordinated attack, with his internal revolt supported by an assault from the Polish Home Army outside the camp. His plans are considered, but ultimately rejected. The military logic of the Allies is brutal and straightforward. Auschwitz is deep in enemy territory, far from their bomber bases in Britain. A precision raid on the gas chambers, without causing massive casualties among the prisoners, is deemed technically unfeasible. Their strategic priority is the defeat of the German military machine, not humanitarian intervention. They believe that winning the war as quickly as possible is the only way to save the people in the camps. For the man in striped pajamas, prisoner 4859, this logic is a death sentence for millions. He has risked everything to give the world the truth, and the world has chosen not to listen. By the spring of 1943, after 2.5 years in Auschwitz, Pilecki's position has become precarious. The camp's Gestapo has become increasingly effective at sniffing out resistance. Key members of his ZOW network are being discovered, tortured, and executed. The net is closing in. He realizes that a mass uprising without external support is impossible. He also realizes that he has done all he can from within. His mission has now changed. He cannot force the Allies to act from inside the wire. He must escape and deliver his report in person. He must become a living witness. An escape from Auschwitz is almost as unthinkable as volunteering to enter it. The camp is ringed with electrified fences, watchtowers, and a patrol zone several kilometers wide. Yet, Pilecki, the meticulous planner, begins to work on a plan. He and 2 trusted comrades manage to get assigned to the night shift at a bakery, which is located just outside the main camp perimeter, beyond the electrified fence. On the night of Easter, April 26, 1943, the moment arrives. They have prepared for weeks. They have a duplicate key fashioned in one of the camp workshops. They have civilian clothes smuggled in and hidden. They have a supply of tobacco to throw to the guard dogs to distract them. Under the cover of darkness, they overpower the SS guard, cut the telephone lines, and unlock the door. They run for their lives, navigating by the stars through forests and fields for over a week. The Germans launch a massive manhunt, with patrols and wanted posters. But Pilecki and his companions are aided by a network of local Poles who provide them with food, shelter, and guidance. After a harrowing journey of more than 100 miles, they finally reach the safety of a Home Army unit. Witold Pilecki is free. He has been to hell and back. He makes his way to Warsaw and immediately reports to the High Command of the Home Army. He is gaunt, haunted, but his resolve is unbroken. He presents his case with an urgent, desperate intensity. He personally briefs his superiors on the horrors of Auschwitz, confirming everything he wrote in his reports. He again pleads for an attack on the camp, but the answer is the same. The Home Army lacks the strength for such a large-scale operation. The risk is too great, the chances of success too slim. His proposal is denied. It is perhaps his greatest personal tragedy, to have survived the unsurvivable, only to find himself as powerless on the outside as he was on the inside. Undeterred, Pilecki pours all of his experiences into one final, comprehensive document. Known today as Witold's Report, it is over 100 pages long, a meticulous, horrifyingly detailed chronicle of his time in Auschwitz. It is one of the most important documents of the 20th century, a definitive eyewitness account of the Holocaust, written by an agent who experienced it from its inception. Pilecki does not rest. He remains a soldier. In August 1944, when the Home Army rises up against the German occupiers in the Warsaw Uprising, Pilecki fights in the streets. He is no longer an officer under a false name but simply a common soldier, refusing any special rank. For 63 days the people of Warsaw fight a heroic but doomed battle. When the uprising is finally crushed, Pilecki is once again taken prisoner by the Germans. He spends the remainder of the war in POW camps, this time as a registered officer of the Polish army. In 1945, the war in Europe ends. The Nazi regime is destroyed. The camps are liberated. But for Poland and for Witold Pilecki, the ordeal is not over. The Red Army, which had waited across the Vistula River while the Nazis annihilated Warsaw, now liberates the country. One form of totalitarianism is simply replaced by another. A new secret police, the Urzędbezpieczeństwa or UB, trained and controlled by the Soviet NKVD, begins to hunt down anyone loyal to the idea of an independent Poland. Their primary targets are the former soldiers of the Home Army. Pilecki could have remained in the West. He was liberated by American troops in Italy. His wartime superiors begged him to stay, to accept a life in exile. But his sense of duty was absolute. His war was not over until Poland was free. In late 1945, he voluntarily returns to a Poland now under communist rule. His new mission, assigned by the Polish government in exile, is the same as his old one: to gather intelligence. This time, his target is not the Nazis, but the Soviets and the Polish puppets. He documents their arrests, their deportations to Siberia, and their execution of Polish patriots. He is once again a spy in his own land. This final mission is short-lived. The communist security apparatus is ruthless and efficient. On May 8, 1947, they capture him. For Witold Pilecki, the worst is yet to come. He is taken to the infamous Mokotów prison in Warsaw, a place of unspeakable cruelty. He is brutally tortured. The methods of the UB are designed not just to extract information, but to break the human spirit. They pull out his fingernails, they break his bones, they subject him to endless beatings. During a final brief meeting with his wife Maria, he whispers to her the words that have come to define the horror of his final days. Auschwitz, he said, using the Polish name for Auschwitz, was but a game. The torture he endured at the hands of his fellow Poles in the name of a new imported ideology was worse than anything he had experienced at the hands of the Nazis. In March 1948, he is put on trial. It is a show trial, a piece of political theatre. The verdict is predetermined. He and his colleagues are charged with espionage on behalf of foreign imperialism. The hero who had risked everything to expose Nazi crimes was now branded a traitor in the new People's Poland. He stands before the court with quiet dignity, refusing to plead for his life. During the trial, the prosecutor, a man named Czesław Lapinski, accused him of endangering the state. Pilecki's response was simple and direct. I tried to measure my strength, and I not only did not endanger the state but strengthened it. He is found guilty and sentenced to death. Despite pleas for clemency from around the world, including from a fellow Auschwitz survivor who would become the future Prime Minister of Poland, the communist president refuses to intervene. On May 25, 1948, Witold Pilecki is taken to the execution chamber in the basement of Mokotów prison. He is executed with a single shot to the back of the head, the traditional method of the Soviet NKVD. He was 47 years old. His body was buried in a secret, unmarked grave, likely in a garbage dump near the city. The communists sought not only to kill him, but to erase him from history. For more than 4 years they succeeded. In the official histories of communist Poland, Witold Pilecki did not exist. His name was forbidden. His report was suppressed. He was a non-person. The hero who volunteered for Auschwitz, who built a resistance inside its walls, who escaped to warn the world, was a ghost. Only with the fall of communism in 1989 did his story begin to emerge from the shadows. Archives were opened. His report was published. His fellow survivors could finally speak his name. In 1990, he was formally rehabilitated, his conviction and sentence overturned by the new, free Poland he had died for. Today, the story of Witold Pilecki stands as a testament to a courage that is almost impossible to comprehend. He was a man who fought against two of the most monstrous ideologies of the 20th century, Nazism and communism, and was murdered by both. His life was a study in unwavering moral clarity. He saw evil, and he walked directly into its heart to fight it. He saw a new evil replace the old one, and he stood against that too, knowing it would cost him his life. His legacy is not just one of heroism, but also of profound tragedy. The tragedy of a warning that went unheeded. The tragedy of a liberator who was betrayed. The story of the spy who volunteered for Auschwitz is more than a chapter of wartime history. It is an eternal question posed to all of us. What is the nature of courage? What is the price of freedom? And what is our duty when confronted with a darkness that threatens to consume the world? Witold Pilecki gave his answer not with words but with his life.